Hello, everyone. Welcome to another live stream. Let me know if the audio and everything is sounding good. So, today I am going to be listening to some different Surah recitations, Quran readings, a couple of those. By what I have been told by a lot of people within the Muslim community, and by even when reading the Quran is seen to be very beautiful and eloquent, especially in the Arabic tongue or the Arabic language. It is considered extremely beautiful. And oftentimes, when I read the Quran, at least, it seemed like Muhammad appealed to the Quran being itself a proof for the truthfulness of Islam. And a lot of people have requested me in my comment section to react and just listen to some different surah recitations. So I have a couple here. I have two recitations here on my channel right now, or on this live stream, that I'm just going to be listening to. I'm going to try to listen in mostly silence to the end of them, and then I'll give my thoughts, kind of what I read, what I've learned, what I'm thinking, and also maybe ask you some questions in the chat if you are interested in engaging with the chat. And if you want to be able to engage with the live stream chat, you need to be a subscriber. So subscribe if you want to be able to do that. Let's see what's going on already. Hey, what's up, Belief? Welcome to another live stream, guy. I'm always enjoying to have you around. Um, they're beautiful too. The next recommendation on your YouTube channel is Surah, Yusuf, or Joseph. Okay, I'll have to check that out sometime. We'll listen to it. I mean, I just did a video not that long ago on Joseph, but I didn't listen in Arabic to the Surah, so I might have to check that out sometime. But thank you for the recommendation, and again, always glad to have you, Leaf. Always glad to have you guys. But yeah, so today I think it's gonna be a little bit different. It's also gonna be maybe a little bit shorter than some of my other live streams. I'm extremely tired to be. If I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm pretty tired right now. I worked all day and I got up early this morning, so we're going. This might be a little bit shorter, but I think it's gonna be nice and peaceful. I think it's gonna be a good one to do. And again, I'll try to be silent for most of it, respect the reading, and then give my thoughts at the end of the videos. And again, ask some questions at the end here. But yeah, so without further ado, let's just jump into the first one here. I'm not entirely sure how to say this in English or anything, but so let's just jump right into the first one. Let me know if you can't see the English translation and you want to be able to see it.
تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور الذي خلق 7 سماوات طباقا ما ترى في خلق الرحمن من تفاوت فارجع البصر هل ترى من فطور ثم ارجع البصر كرتين ينقلب إليك البصر خاسئا وهو حسير ولقد زينا السماء الدنيا بمصابيح وجعلناها رجوما للشياطين وأعتدنا لهم عذاب السعير وللذين كفروا بربهم عذاب جهنم وبئس المصير إذا ألقوا فيها سمعوا لها شهيقا وهي تفور تكاد تميز من الغيظ كلما ألقي فيها فوج سألهم خزنتها ألم يأتكم نذير قالوا بلى قد جاءنا نذير فكذبنا وقلنا ما نزل الله من شيء إن أنتم إلا في ضلال كبير وقالوا لو كنا نسمع أو نعقل ما كنا في أصحاب السعير فاعترفوا بذنبهم فسحقا لأصحاب السعير إن الذين يخشون ربهم بالغيب لهم مغفرة وأجر كبير وأسروا قولكم أو اجهروا به إنه عليم بذات الصدور ألا يعلم من خلق وهو اللطيف الخبير هو الذي جعل لكم الأرض ذلولا فامشوا في مناكبها وكلوا من رزقه وإليه النشور هو الذي جعل لكم الأرض ذلولا فامشوا في مناكبها وكلوا من رزقه وإليه النشور أأمنتم من في السماء أن يخسف بكم الأرض فإذا هي تمور أم أمنتم من في السماء أن يرسل عليكم حاصبا فستعلمون كيف نذير ولقد كذب الذين من قبلهم فكيف كان نكير أولم يروا إلى الطير فوقهم صافات ويقبضن ما يمسكهن إلا الرحمن إنه بكل شيء بصير أمن هذا الذي هو جند لكم ينصركم من دون الرحمن إن الكافرون إلا في غرور أمن هذا الذي يرزقكم إن أمسك رزقه بل لجوا في عتو ونفور أفمن يمشي مكبا على وجهه أهدى أمن يمشي سويا على صراط مستقيم قل هو الذي أنشأكم وجعل لكم السمع والأبصار والأفئدة قليلا ما تشكرون قل هو الذي ذرأكم في الأرض وإليه تحشرون ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين قل إنما العلم عند الله وإنما أنا نذير مبين فلما رأوه زلفة سيئت وجوه الذين كفروا وقيل هذا الذي كنتم به تدعون قل أرأيتم إن أهلكني الله ومن معي أو رحمنا فمن يجير الكافرين من عذاب أليم قل هو الرحمن آمنا به وعليه توكلنا فستعلمون من هو في ضلال مبين قل أرأيتم إن أصبح ماؤكم غورا فمن يأتيكم بماء معين.
All right. Interesting. Okay. Let's look at the chat first before I start giving my thoughts. I saw some things were going on in the chat there. Hello, Flower. Welcome to the live stream. Welcome. How you doing? I was about to go to sleep, but then I got this notification. I guess I'll sleep later. I mean, I'm glad to have you, but if you need to go to sleep, go to sleep. I mean, come on now. Don't need to put yourself through any stress if you don't need to. So, but glad to have you either way if you choose to stay around. Mr. Twix, hey, what's up, man? What's up? Why are you listening to the Quran? Are you a Muslim? I am not a Muslim. I am a Christian, but this is a comparative religion, exploratory religion, whatever type of channel you want to call it. So I like to take a look at different religions, what they believe, what they profess, their religious texts, stuff like that. Learn more about them, engage with them, share my thoughts about it, and stuff like that. So that's why I'm listening to the Quran today. And I was requested to by a lot of my audience and, been told a lot about it. So, just giving it a shot, and giving it a listen. Surah al-Mulk means the kingdom. Okay, thank you. That's a nice information to have. Hey, Amir. Amir, is that how you say your name? How you doing? Welcome to the chat. Welcome to this live stream. Okay, so now jumping into kind of my thoughts here, this first one. So I want to first just point out, I guess, some of the meaning. I was reading the English subtitles while it was going because I don't speak Arabic, and so I don't necessarily understand what he's saying. But looking throughout this video, listening to it, it would appear to me, at least the very sense of it, is that this seems to be a surah a lot about sort of judgment. So you see in the beginning here where it's like people are being cast into hell, and they're like, we reject the messenger, which I'm assuming the messenger is referring to Muhammad. There was no clear warning, but we rejected it, whatever, and now we are suffering punishment. I wish we were wise and would have said yes, or became Muslim or followed Allah, however you want to word it. And then later on, it talks about it seems like it talks about more about the warner comes halfway through. He is knowing for precision, walk among slopes, eat of his provision. It's a calling. It seems to be a calling then to follow Allah, and we are to be aware of sort of his warnings, be aware of his sovereignty. Because I know at one point I was talking about how he oversees everything. He is constantly like watching, able to do that. I know even when reading the Quran myself a while back, it talked a lot about him always watching and weighing things in the balance. He withheld his provision, but they have persistent insolence and aversions. Seems to be talking more about sin there. And yeah, so it just seems to be generally about sort of judgment and the arrogance of man, the arrogance and sinful pride of human beings in general, and how Allah will bring them to judgment for not obeying his word and not taking his warnings seriously, or not using reasoning, or however you want to word it. So that seems to be the general takeaway that I got from the message standpoint. I mean, let me know in the chat if I got that correct, or how this is traditionally understood within Islam. And so that seems to be what I gathered. Interestingly enough, so like if you want to hear a little bit of comparison as far as like kind of Christianity to Islam in this regard, there seems to be a lot of similarity here, at least in the overarching concept, where we would believe as Orthodox Christians or people in more traditional Christian line, that the God is sovereign. He's watching over everyone, and God will, on the final judgment day, judge those who sin against his laws, and those who do not repent of their sins, come to him for forgiveness, and follow him. We would profess the gospel, become followers of the gospel, followers of Jesus. But so if anyone who doesn't repent of their sins and turn to God for forgiveness will be judged and will face wrath and will go to hell. So there seems to be a lot of parallel here as in how that goes. So this seems to be, again, the Christianity and Islam parallels are pretty similar here. Again, it boils down to, as I've said in past live streams, sort of what we would see as the solution, or what does God ultimately call us to do, or stuff like that. So when it comes down to the solution, that's where we would probably differ a little bit. But as far as this surah seems to be, it's actually interesting, again, how parallel some of these teachings can be. I see some action going on in the chat, so let's see what's going on here. Again, let me know if the audio is good. I'm not sure if the audio is good or not. So what's up, Omar? Can you react to Recitation of Surah Taha? Maybe I can. I'll see how much time I have left after these first couple videos. Mr. Twix, nice. Please react to the series of The Genius Islam, the 3rd episode. Maybe not today, but I'll mark that down for a later episode. Maybe I'll cover it in a future live stream. I have a list of ideas from some past live streams and comments and stuff, but not today. But maybe in the future I will. We'll see. I'll keep that in mind. We Muslims read this surah every night to protect us from punishment of the grave, and it will be intercession for us. Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. So this is something you pray every night? Is this what is this something like every traditional Muslim prays at night, or is this like certain sectors of Islam? I'm just kind of curious if there's a different ways that's practiced. But that's interesting that you read this surah every night to protect you from the punishment of the grave, intercession for you. This surah is explained very well by Norman Al Khan. I think the story that mentions Mary, Jesus, John is Surah Maryam, Mary, and Al-Maida. Okay. I mean, that's probably the case. I mean, I would assume as well. It's been so long since I've read. It's been a couple years now since I've read through the Quran. I've only pieced through it here and there for some videos that I've made on this channel since then. But yeah, maybe you can react to Norman Al Khan, Explanation of Surah Al Mulk. Yeah, maybe again. It depends on how much time I have after this next Surah, and maybe I'll jump into some others, seeing how I'm feeling later on. Here we go. So, brother, I need to got to go. I will rewind, watch it later. All right, sounds good, Alif. Have fun doing whatever you're gonna gotta do tonight, man. But thank you for being on for a little bit here, and yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the rest of the live stream when you hop back on. Okay, good. All right, yep, I might have to check that out later. But yeah, so that's what kind of I picked up here so far from this surah. And as far as from like a reading standpoint or like listening in, kind of soaking it in, I will say I have found the Arabic readings to be different, I guess, because so I'm accustomed to hearing when I think of like either worship or when I think of praise or whatever you may call it. I often think of song. I think of people singing. And Arabic readings aren't really singing. They're not necessarily musical, but at the same time, they're not just like bland recitations. At least the ones that I've listened to. I'm sure some people are better at it than others. Some people are more eloquent than others. But the ones I've listened to, there's a rhythm to it. They add some emphasis to it the way they do to give it some, I guess, flair or whatever. But it's just different. It's just different. It's not singing, but yeah, it's not like necessarily just simple reading. There's some sort of I guess they add some emphasis to it. Yeah, it is for the most part nice to listen to. I don't know if I would I don't know if I would necessarily classify it as something like the most amazing thing I ever heard or something I would consider from that standpoint. But again, I don't speak Arabic either, so I don't necessarily understand it. For me, I think it would be more meaningful if I directly understood the language. But Arabic readings have always been sort of interesting to me. Just the way, the style that they're read. It's just different. It's not necessarily something you find within a lot of Orthodox churches, the way they read. The way that Christians often read scriptures isn't the same way that I have often heard these recitations done. So anyway, but that's just some of my first thoughts on this initial little recitation we got here. So let's jump into the next one here. I think this one, Surah Al-An'am, 74 to 94. I'm assuming this is a person who is reading it. Let me just see something here real quick. Make sure things are going well over here. All right, good, good. So I think we'll jump into this one. Again, I'm going to try to be silent for most of it. This one's a little bit longer, so I might pause it halfway through. I don't know. I'll see. I'll see how I'm feeling. But yeah, I'm gonna watch through this one and listen to another one, see kind of what the message is and gathering and how I feel about it and different things like that. So let's just jump into it.
وإذ قال إبراهيم لأبيه آزر أتتخذ أصناما آلهة إني أراك وقومك في ضلال مبين وكذلك نري إبراهيم ملكوت السماوات والأرض وليكون من الموقنين فلما جن عليه الليل رأى كوكبا قال هذا ربي فلما أفل قال لا أحب الآفلين فلما رأى القمر بازغا قال هذا ربي فلما أفل قال لئن لم يهدني ربي لأكونن من القوم الضالين فلما رأى الشمس بازغة قال هذا ربي هذا أكبر فلما أفلت قال يا قوم إني بريء مما تشركون إني وجهت وجهي للذي فطر السماوات والأرض حنيفا وما أنا من المشركين وحاجه قومه قال أتحاجوني في الله وقد هدان ولا أخاف ما تشركون به إلا أن يشاء ربي شيئا وسع ربي كل شيء علما أفلا تتذكرون وكيف أخاف ما أشركتم ولا تخافون أنكم أشركتم بالله ما لم ينزل به عليكم سلطانا فأي الفريقين أحق بالأمن إن كنتم تعلمون الذين آمنوا ولم يلبسوا إيمانهم بظلم أولئك لهم الأمن وهم مهتدون وتلك حجتنا آتيناها إبراهيم على قومه نرفع درجات من نشاء إن ربك حكيم عليم ووهبنا له إسحاق ويعقوب كلا هدينا ونوحا هدينا من قبل ومن ذريته داود وسليمان وأيوب ويوسف وهارون وموسى وهارون وكذلك نجزي المحسنين وزكريا ويحيى وعيسى وإلياس كل من الصالحين وإسماعيل واليسع ويونس ولوطا وكلا فضلنا على العالمين ومن آبائهم وذرياتهم وإخوانهم واجتبيناهم وهديناهم إلى صراط مستقيم ذلك هدى الله يهدي به من يشاء من عباده ولو أشركوا لحبط عنهم ما كانوا يعملون أولئك الذين آتيناهم الكتاب والحكم والنبوة فإن يكفر بها هؤلاء فقد وكلنا بها قوما ليسوا بها بكافرين أولئك الذين هدى الله فبهداه مقتده قل لا أسألكم عليه أجرا إن هو إلا ذكرى للعالمين وما قدروا الله حق قدره إذ قالوا ما أنزل الله على بشر من شيء قل من أنزل الكتاب الذي جاء به موسى نورا وهدى للناس تجعلونه قراطيس تبدونها وتخفون كثيرا وعلمتم ما لم تعلموا أنتم ولا آباؤكم قل الله ثم ذرهم في خوضهم يلعبون وما قدروا الله حق قدره إذ قالوا ما أنزل الله على بشر من شيء قل من أنزل الكتاب الذي جاء به موسى نورا وهدى للناس تجعلونه قراطيس تبدونها وتخفون كثيرا وعلمتم ما لم تعلموا أنتم ولا آباؤكم قل الله ثم ذرهم في خوضهم يلعبون وهذا كتاب أنزلناه مبارك مصدق الذي بين يديه ولتنذر أم القرى ومن حولها والذين يؤمنون بالآخرة يؤمنون به وهم على صلاتهم يحافظون ومن أظلم ممن افترى على الله كذبا أو قال أوحي إلي ولم يوح إليه شيء ومن قال سأنزل مثل ما أنزل الله ولو ترى إذ الظالمون في غمرات الموت والملائكة باسطوا أيديهم أخرجوا أنفسكم اليوم تجزون عذاب الهون بما كنتم تقولون على الله غير الحق اليوم تجزون عذاب الهون بما كنتم تقولون على الله غير الحق وكنتم عن آياته تستكبرون ولقد جئتمونا فرادا كما خلقناكم أول مرة وتركتم ما خولناكم وراء ظهوركم وما نرى معكم شفعاءكم الذين زعمتم أنهم فيكم شركاء لقد تقطع بينكم وضل عنكم ما كنتم تزعمون.
All right. So, interestingly enough, so this one is interesting because it starts off talking about polytheism. It specifically seems to be talking about sort of the evils of polytheism, how polytheism is not good, and then later on it seems to talk about how there's the message of God being one, and then goes into sort of this recitation of these different prophets from the past. I think Noah, Abraham. Abraham talks about Abraham a lot, but then also Noah and some of these other ones. It talks about how they were blessed, and they were blessed because they were doers of good. They were rewarded for doing good, in contrast to the polytheists and those who rejected Allah, who didn't do good. And then it seems to continue to go on. That talks about Allah guiding His servants. Talks about Allah leading the people who trust in Him. Again, this seems to be sort of the pattern of a lot of Quranic verses that I've read, a lot of things I've seen. This seems to be a very similar message, a rejection of polytheism, a rejection of evil, a rejection of certain practices or behaviors, and a reminder or some sort of remembrance of prophets of old who did good and were rewarded for it. And that sort of seems to be a common theme throughout the Quran. It seems to be a common theme throughout these readings. At least the ones that I've been seeing today especially seem to be following that sort of general guidance where, like, if you do evil, you will be punished. If you do good, you'll be rewarded. That sort of mentality. Here is interesting too that it talks about, like, it seems to be that this scripture is talking to the Jews specifically, and talking about their revelation from the past, and then how presumably the Quran then helps bring further revelation, according at least to obviously those who believe in Islam. And this is a book which you sent down, blessing confirming what was before it. So yeah, it's just, and then it concludes with this talking about Allah being revealed, and I think it talks about here at the end, which you claim they were among your associates, has been severed between you and lost from you what you used to claim. Yeah, so it seems then to also talk about those who get judged at the end again. But anyway, so it's just interesting. It's just interesting continually to see the message of the Quran. I think to me is interesting to continue to see these themes, these similar themes throughout the Quran. The similar themes of God always watching, similar themes of listen to the warners of the prophets, or else you'll be judged. The similar themes of do good and be rewarded, do what the God Allah wants, be rewarded. If you do not do that, you will be punished. These sort of themes seem to be common throughout these sort of surahs, which isn't necessarily interesting enough. Like a lot of monotheistic religions or religions in general, there tends to be that sort of theme, obviously, where God demands something and expects his followers to do that. The difference is what he's demanding, and the difference is what exactly he expects from his followers. But yeah, so it's interesting. And again, the readings here, if I'm commenting yet again on just the Arabic readings themselves, it's still just is very different from anything else I've heard in the sense that it's different in the sense that like it's not really singing, it's not really music, but the reader seems to really attempt to keep a melody going by at some point really extending out certain like notes or certain words, and then like making some words more sharp or quick, depending on I guess what he wants to emphasize, what he's doing to emphasize. And actually, let me know in the comments in the chat if anyone knows. Do the people who read these like surahs and stuff, are there people who actually like literally just train themselves to be really good at reading surahs or reading the Quran? Are there people who kind of like dedicate their lives to? I'm not saying memorize the Quran because I know a lot of Muslims memorize the Quran, but I'm saying like actually practice reading it out loud for people to listen. Is that something that people practice within Islam? Is that something that certain select people get chose to do, or how's that look? I'm just kind of curious what that looks like. Let me see what's going on in the chat. I saw some movement going on while the video is going on. Salim alaikum, my friend. Peace from Egypt. Egypt. I think it's the first time I've ever seen someone say they're from Egypt in the chat. So welcome from all the way over to Egypt. The internet is quite amazing. It's amazing how through the internet we're able to interact with people from across the world, from different beliefs, from different regions, from different land masses, from all sorts of backgrounds. So the internet is really an amazing place and just incredible for that. So welcome from Egypt. I'm glad you joined the chat. Thank you for subscribing and all that jazz. Hopefully you enjoy these videos. Can you hear Surah Maryam by Saad Al-Ghami English translation next? Maybe. Let's see. Let me see what the time is actually first. It's 7:30. Okay, maybe I can do one more. We'll see. I know there were some other requests earlier that I'm not sure what they were. I can't quite remember what they were. Hey man, if you have time, this is one of the most beautiful recitations. Emotional Quran recitation by Karami Maham Al-Kurdi. It's about 7 minutes long. All right, we'll see. I think I have time for maybe one more. I think I could do one more. After that, I might want to go to bed. Again, I had a long day today, and I worked all day. Just got back. Didn't have time to rest basically since coming back. Had stuff to do. So I might do one more and then call it a night. Wow, reading English translation of the Quran makes me appreciate an Arabic even more. Arabic is more rich in vocabulary, so some translations of some words seem to be so basic in English. Yeah, that is something that that's something that's interesting because that's something I hear from not even just people from Arabic to English, but from other languages as well. So, for instance, I've heard people say that about like translations from European languages like French. To English, that it doesn't seem quite to capture the same essence. Although I've heard people say that again about, I heard similar things about that in reference to English to other languages as well, where people say, well, these other languages don't quite capture what we're trying to say in English. That is sort of a common theme. People typically appreciate their own tongue and language over the tongue and languages of other people in general. I'm not saying that's always the case, but in general, there seems to be this sort of preference for one's own language because you grew up with it, you're accustomed to it, it's what's familiar to you. So that seems to be a common thread. And if I'm not mistaken, Arabic tends to have words that encompass more, meaning English tends to be a little bit more like each word kind of is pretty specific and very. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say specific. The words themselves are. I don't know exactly how to word it. I just know like the Arabic words tend to incorporate what in English within the English language it may take a sentence to say something, while in Arabic it will take one word, one or two words, because the words themselves encompass a lot more, or based on how they're structured, they can encompass a lot more. But English, on the other hand, tends to be wordier, tends to take up more space because it takes more words to say a similar sort of message. So again, that has a lot to do with language structure, semantics, and how languages are developed and stuff. But it is always interesting looking at translations of things and seeing how things are translated across languages and stuff like that. Where was I? English translation. If you have time, react to Surah Taha. There's a certain way to recite the Quran. You have to study it. Okay, that is interesting. there's a certain way to do it. I think that's interesting. Like, I guess there's people who. I guess for me, the question is, who started the tradition of how you're supposed to read the Quran? I mean, I honestly don't know. I'm just kind of curious how that tradition started and how that is. Yes, there are 7 recitations of the Quran that Angel Jibreel taught Muhammad, peace be upon him. The internet really did make the world a small village. It really did. It really did. I mean, the internet is the reason why for so many things. Because like if you think about it, think about like over like 30 years ago, 30 years ago even the communication between people thought it was amazing. Like you had landlines and phones, and people were like, "This is big stuff." But man, in the past like 2 or 3 decades, just explosion of technology across the world has made the world so much smaller. Man, it's crazy. There's a lot of benefits, but there's also some negatives to that as well. It's give or take a little bit. Um, if you have time, recite the 7 recitation. It's nice to subscribe to your channel. Please, can you react to Jesus' conversation with Allah? I think I did react to that in a past live stream. You would have to check, but I think I reacted to something like that in the past. Audio is good. All right, that's good to know. Hello, friend, and everyone here. Love that last Quran recitation and your points of view. Thanks, Salima. Thank you for coming on. Always glad to have you. Always glad to have you on the chat. I bet the gospel would sound similar if we had the Aramaic original. Maybe. Maybe it would. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, so that is just another surah recitation. Maybe I'll do one more. I'm going to pick one, I guess, at random that I see here first. Can you... So here's one. Surah Maryam by Saad Al, English translation. Let me see. Let me see if I can find that. This will be the last one because I definitely need to get some sleep tonight. Maryam by the English translation. Is that the one? I guess this is what you're talking about. This one right here. How long is it? 17 minutes. Ooh, I'm not sure if I want to do that one if it's 17 minutes. I kind of want to go to bed a little bit before that. Is there another one that's a little bit shorter? Something that's a little bit shorter. Maybe. Let's see if hey man, if you have time, this is one of the most beautiful recitations, emotional Quran recitation, 7 minutes long. All right, let me see what that one sounds like. Emotional Quran recitation by Kareem Muhammad Al-Kurdi. I'm assuming it's this one, 7 minutes long. Let me, is this the one? I'm assuming this is the one you're referring to. We recite it the same way the Prophet did. It's not just the Quran is preserved. Also, the recitation is preserved. In what way is the recitation preserved? Was it passed down? Was the recitation method passed down orally, or do you have like it's written down how you're supposed to do it? I'm just kind of curious how that works. Hey, bro, I'm having a great time watching your channel. God bless. Thank you, man. Thank you for tuning in and thank you for watching. I'm glad to have you always, as always. So yeah, I'm just curious how that gets passed down. How do you pass down a method of reading? Is that passed down orally or is that passed down through text? I would be intrigued to know that. Let me see here real quick before we jump into this next one. Let's go down like this real fast. All right. I'm assuming we will be good. All right, cool. So let's jump into this last one. I think this will be the last one for the night, and then I will have to call it quits, guys. I got work tomorrow and stuff, so let's do this.
والسابحات سبقا فالسابقات سبقا فالمدبرات أمرا.
All right. So interesting. So it seems like this one starts off with a story about Pharaoh, which based on what I can understand, I'm assuming this is a Pharaoh around Moses' time, but I could be wrong. But yeah, so it seems like it starts off with the topic of Pharaoh and how Pharaoh is disobedient to Allah, and thus leading to Pharaoh's judgment because he refuses to purify himself, and also Pharaoh called himself God, which Egyptian pharaohs and kings back in the times of Egypt would have believed themselves to be gods or God or something along those lines. So there seems to be that sort of judgment then. And then it goes sort of into about after that whole thing with Allah and Pharaoh. It seems to talk a lot about Allah's greatness, and then there's a mentioning about the end times and judgment. And again, the idea of that Muhammad is a warner and a prophet warning about the day of judgment. And of course, the implication being, do not be someone who rejects the warning. So yeah, so again, the interesting thing, again, the messages and the themes here are similar between these surahs. The message and theme of warning, the Quran's giving you a warning, obey Allah. If you don't, you'll be punished. If you do, you'll be rewarded. That seems, again, that's just a common thread across these surahs. What's interesting here, so I think what's interesting to me is it seems like he reads a portion of the surah and then they all bow to pray. I'm not sure exactly what they're praying. If someone in the chat could let me know, that'd be cool. But they seems like they bow down to pray, and then he gets back up and he reads it again. So I think what made this one more interesting to me, at least interesting to me in a sense, is that I get to actually see the people and what they're doing and how they're reading it and stuff, which was different because like the other two, there was no one. I couldn't see who was reading it. I couldn't see the context in which it's being read. But here I can see it's being read by obviously a Muslim, and then all these other Muslims in the background are sort of just listening and revering it and bowing down and praying at certain parts of this reading. And so I just think this is just gives me a little bit more context as of where these are being read at and how they're being read. And I'm assuming this is at like a mosque or something, some sort of mosque. I could be wrong about that. But yeah, so this gave me a little bit more context of how they're being read and things like that. So yeah, again, it's just always intriguing to listen to these. What's going on in the chat here? So anyone here, audio is good. Hello friends, everyone here loved the last Quran study points of view. I bet the gospel, yes, this is the one. All right, so this was the right one. Good. It's good. By memorization way, it's 2 minutes. Hi, greetings from Malaysia. From Malaysia. Hey, welcome. Welcome. It is always interesting. When I check my analytics, sometimes on this YouTube channel, it's always interesting for me to see where people are coming in from. So, like, I don't live in Asia or anything. I live in the U.S. I live in the West. And it's interesting to me because when I started this channel, I had this idea that I would get a lot of people from, like, Europe or United States or, you know, kind of from that sort of region. But actually, my channel ended up becoming very, very diverse, which actually was my goal. I wanted to have a diverse channel, but I was afraid I would only capture a United States audience. But actually, it's been very diverse. So I have people from, if I look at my analytics, I have a lot of people from like India, Indonesia, Malaysia, from Saudi Arabia, and from a bunch of different countries. So it's just really cool to be able to interact with you guys from all across the world, get your feedback, get your ideas on life, get your point of views, and be able to share mine with you, and just have these sort of conversations, have these sort of videos, these live streams. It's just a lot of fun. So welcome from Malaysia. Thank you for joining the team or the group or the family, whatever you want to call this channel. I'm not sure. I'm glad to have you either way. We preserved it by generation, also by text or how the prophet did it. Any Bible recitation on future video. I actually thought about doing that. So I saw there was actually a few I saw on YouTube of someone reading the Gospel of John, someone reading sort of like some of the New Testament stuff, some people reading Old Testament stuff. So yeah, I actually did look that up a little bit, and I did look into that a little bit. There are videos of a lot of people reading the Bible or reading different things from that, and I thought about doing a live stream about that, so I might do that sometime. I think that would be interesting to see the difference in how they're read and see the difference in the text and stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely would consider doing that in a future video for sure. So I will keep that in mind if that's something you would be interested in listening to or tuning in for. I'm back, brother LT. Welcome back, Alif. Hopefully, I think I don't know if you got to catch this last Quran reading. This is gonna be the last one for tonight. Hopefully, you caught it. The books of Quran we have in Arabic. They have the rules of the recitation at the end of the book according to the recitation you buy. For me, I have the Quran with the rules of recitation called Warsh. So there's different rules. There's different rules of recitation, and different Qurans have different rules in the back. That's interesting. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Actually, the two Qurans I have, I'm not sure if they would have anything about recitation, because I do have two different Qurans. There are two different English translations of the Quran. The one actually does have the Arabic next to English translation. The other one doesn't. I'd be curious to see if they actually have. I'm curious if the one has Arabic in it. I'm curious if that one has any sort of recitation instructions in the back. Pray, hope you one day become a Muslim, accept the message, brother LT, and God in Aramaic is Allah. Okay, sure. I mean, I guess Aramaic. I'm just going to take your word on that. That the word Aramaic, Allah is God, and the word Allah is the word for God in Aramaic. And of course, I always do appreciate people from. So some people get really like, I guess, frustrated or upset when people try to convert them. I never had a problem with people trying to convert me. It was always, for me, it's always like, well, if you actually do believe what you believe, if you believe that people are going to hell, if you believe that people should believe in God, if you believe these things, you should, in some way, shape, or form, you should live out your life in a way that honors God and share the message that you believe people need to hear, and therefore, and make a case for it and defend it. And of course, people should only believe what's true. So you should only believe something that is true, and that's why you should always make your best case for what you believe and let people kind of make arguments back and forth, stuff like that, to figure out what's true. So I always appreciate when people say they're praying for me, or appreciate when people, give feedback and stuff, as long as it's like respectful. Like obviously I can read a comment and I can know based on how the comment's written that the person actually cares about me and actually wants me to grow as a person, or the person just hates me, or whatever. You can kind of read into comments to get the idea of what they're trying to say, and how they feel about you as a person. But yeah, I always do appreciate when people are saying they're praying for me or try and get me to convert. For me, again, I think that's a sign that you actually believe what you believe, and that's a sign that you actually care because you want me to not go to hell. But again, it's all about making the case and so forth. So only believe what is true, seek the truth, and you shall find. Finally, I can catch your live. Have you been trying to catch my lives for a while now and just haven't been able to? Finally, you can do it. Yeah, so I think also the thing about having a very diverse audience on this channel is that there's so many different time zones. Like, so when I do these live streams, like obviously it's like evening time where I'm at, but then like at other places it's probably like afternoon, and other places like night, dead of night. So I'm sorry, it's time zones. Hopefully you can enjoy my videos when they are released after live streams, or just regular videos I upload, or shorts or whatever. Hopefully you enjoy the content, even if you can't always catch every live. Greetings from Saudi Arabia. Welcome. Oh, again, this is just incredible. Internet's amazing, man. What's your name, my guy? I just go by LT on this channel. That's just what I go by. I go by LT. So you can just call me LT, and that's how I normally just get called or greeted or talked about on this channel for the most part. This recitation reminds me of a video called The Life and Journey of the Souls by Merciful Servant. It's long, but it's really interesting, so please, when you have time, react to it. Okay, I'll have to keep that in mind. Maybe I'll take a screenshot of this chat and some of the videos you guys recommended. Again, I have a long list of ones, and I try to, again, as I told some of my other listeners, I try to diversify my content on here because it is a comparative religion channel. Comparative religion, different religious exploration, stuff like that. So it's not just about Islam, but Islam does happen to be a religion I look into a lot because it's interesting. It's very interesting, and it's one of the three monotheistic religions. So probably one of the closer ones to what I would believe, although again there are major differences. The rules is called tajweed. The certain word you have to pronounce is like 5 knock and other 2 knock. The rules is like that. Oh, okay, interesting. No worries, if you're sincere and wanting to worship God, He will guide you to the truth. I believe that too. I do believe that if anyone's seeking the truth and truly does want to know God and truly does want to become a follower of God and worshiper of God, and be true to that, and actually does seek truth, they will find. I do truly believe that. I do believe God will lead people to truth if they have a sincere heart. I agree with that. Why not react to the Bible in Arabic? You will notice they call God Allah, since Allah means God. I mean, I'm not denying that. I mean, I've actually many books I've read from people who are Christians from Arabic language, or from Arabic countries, or from countries that are predominantly Muslim. Allah is the word they use for God as well. So like, yeah, I get that. That is how it is. I will say the reason why in the United States, why people typically, when they talk about Islam, will just say Allah instead of God, is because it's the easiest way for us to distinguish between what we're talking about. So like, because since we speak English here in the West predominantly, and since Christianity and Christianity and general deism, I guess you could say, is a little bit more common in the West than Islam is at the current moment. I mean, that could change down the road. People within Christian churches and stuff typically refer to God as God because it's our English native language. And then so that's why people often within Western countries will refer to Allah within Islam to just sort of make the distinguishment when they're talking about the different religions. It's semantic. I would probably try to diversify my live stream times if I could. The problem is I just don't have the time to do that. I work mornings and afternoons, and then I try to eat food, and I do live streams in the evening before I go to bed. So like, I'm sorry, man. Hopefully you enjoy it though. Hopefully it's not too much of a hindrance for you. I'm glad that you're tuning in. Middle of the night here. So, I'm telling you, I'm sorry guys. I'm glad you're here. Please stay around. I'm glad you guys are with this channel, but I can't do anything about it. Just time zones, man. It's just time zones. Oh yeah, I've been trying. I've watched every single video of yours. Guess I'm a fan. Okay, I'm glad to hear that. I'm always glad to see that there's people who enjoy this channel and keep up with it to the best of their abilities. And again, if anyone's ever like, this is not the channel for me and leaves, that's your own volition. Obviously, I create this content for fun and to explore and do my own thing. So you come and go as you please, but I'm always glad to have you as you stay. Once in discussion, please don't get mad. Okay, I mean, if you put a question in there, I may be able to answer, I may not be able to. It is 8 o'clock over here, so I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to be doing this live stream here for. As I did say, I do want to go to bed here soon because I got work in the morning. Knowledge is important to know God and how to worship God. That is very true. Knowledge is very important. And I mean, at the fundamental bedrock, again, if you believe that God is the eternal God and you believe that he is the one who created this world and he is the ultimate source of truth, then, I mean, obviously seeking knowledge would be seeking God in a sense. Actually, Allah means the one God. The word God in Arabic is Allah. I am here in Algeria. Oh, man. Again, more countries on that list. It's 2 a.m. here in Algeria. 2 a.m. Do you sleep? Oh my word. Okay, welcome to the live stream. Oh man, but okay. I think I need to go to bed, or else I will kick myself in the morning if I don't fall asleep because I did not get much sleep last night. So guys, it's been fun. It's been good. Glad to have you all from all the different countries you come from. And yeah, so glad to have you guys. It's been about an hour now. I need to go to bed. I got work in the morning. I would love to stay around and talk to you guys some more, but it's about that time. So thank you. Have a good night, everyone. And hopefully some of you who say, oh, I just got to catch a live stream, or if you had questions or something, hopefully you can say that for a future video or future live stream. Oh, well, let's see if this is the question. I did see you had the question. Let me see if you have the question. I might be able to answer it before I go to bed here. We'll see. All the prophets before Jesus, why do you think Jesus as God? What makes him different from other prophets? Bro, it's 3 a.m. Oh, my word. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. It's just how time works, man. Have a good night, Flower. Have a good night. All the prophets before Jesus, why do you think Jesus was God? What makes him different from other prophets? It boils down primarily to how we would view the scriptures. So obviously as Christians, we trust the Bible. I know according to common Muslim belief, the Bible is corrupted. You can't fully trust it, or there's parts of it that are true, parts of it that aren't, because it just hasn't been preserved properly, or at least that's the belief within Islam. I have delved into sort of the history of the Bible. I do believe it's trustworthy. But that's, again, I'm thinking about maybe doing a video about sort of history of the Bible and the Quran and different things like that. I might do future videos about that. Again, this channel wasn't necessarily purely about apologetics or stuff like that, more about exploration, but that's partially why. Partially because we trust the Bible. And so we trust that within the Gospels of the Bible, when Jesus calls himself God and things like that, we take that revelation to be true. And a lot of our belief about Jesus comes from the Bible. I'm not sure if you're looking for a big philosophical breakdown of the Trinity or anything like that, but at the base root, the reason why we believe he's different is because we believe he revealed himself to be different in the Gospels. I think that's ultimately what I would have to say, as far as again going down the whole philosophical route and stuff, how we would explain that or believe that to be true without being contradiction stuff. That would be, I guess, a different conversation. But I guess ultimately it boils down to what we believe the Gospels reveal in the Bible. But okay, I need to go to bed. Love you guys. Have a good night. And as always, before I close out, friends, go out there and light the world yourselves, even if it's 3 a.m. in the morning. All right, have a good one, guys.